barricade from around the police station has been dismantled.
We pay for this. We pay for this. We pay for this.
Our street! Our street! Our street! Our street! Our street!
They know you're coming in over there.
Okay, let's back. I'm gonna back up. I'm gonna back up.
Our street! Our street!
This is the part where you show us what you're really made of. You hold your fucking ground. You stay tight.
This doesn't mean if you have different ability levels and can't be on the front line that you shouldn't come out. You know, some people just physically can't be, or for whatever reason can't be in that tight crowd like that because they're high risk. That doesn't mean you shouldn't be out here. That doesn't mean there isn't a place for you. That doesn't mean so they're using the barricades from the police station to like barricade the police out of this space. And the barricades over here on this side. If you can see it over there. More of the barricade over here. And police are lining up.
We're here to defund these pigs behind me. They don't know what the fuck is gonna hit them. Stay together. Stay fine. Anthony McClain! Anthony McClain! Anthony McClain! Anthony McClain! Anthony McClain!
So the metal gate that was in front of the police station was removed and set up as a different sort of perimeter to create a barrier between the cops on both sides in front of the police station. I haven't seen this tactic before necessarily, so I feel like I'm in a self-made kettle, which creates anxiety. I much prefer the tactic of to keep moving. But I also understand the importance of being out in front of the police station. It's also important that while there are people here, millions more are needed. I have some fabulous people like cooking. Oh, they're rolling up right now. Less than 500 people. I don't know. I would say less than. I don't know. I want to say 300, but it might be less than that. Which is important if the people are out. And the energy is definitely defiant, which it should be. You can't leave the streets until your demands are met. That's for real. We had hundreds and thousands of people at the beginning of the uprising, and we need more for it right now and continuing.
I mean,
What are they saying to us from the helicopter?
what?
They're trying to say something to us.
Are they?
Yeah.
They're doing it. They're not doing a good job of it.
No, they're not. I can't hear them.
I've seen this, so they've started using it as a, like they'll issue dispersal or
Yeah.
but this is like, this thing is actually, I actually think it created some like a predicament for them. But I think they would have already been up on us.
I don't know.
I'm not saying they would have arrested us, but I think it actually made them have to stall for a second.
I feel like it was self-pedaled though.
Look, that's the whole point. Actually, like seriously, if we were like trying to, like this is a real deal, you would never, you know, you constantly stay on the move.
Yeah.
You know?
That's what I was thinking too. I was like, what's going on? So you're saying that this tactic, have you seen this before?
No, I'm just saying, like if you're thinking about it, like actually, like not as a political statement or more of a let's see if we like some anarchist kind of shit. You know what I mean? This is smart setting up the barricade, but getting yourself into like that's actually the whole point. It's like you see it, anarchists you hit and move, because they're a superior force.
Yeah.
Superior militarily, not morally.
Correct. Military forces, not moral forces. Damn.
So, man, I got upset. I go over there, and someone's like burning her statement.
Yeah.
But they're using it to burn a Trump statement. I was like, at first I was like, oh. But then I saw they were like trying to use it to. The thing is, look, it didn't even burn. Yeah, because at first I was like, oh man, it's some fucking snarky people. They're gonna burn our shit. But then it actually might be when the helicopter's down and they start. You start seeing smoke all of a sudden after.
Los Angeles Police Department. The gate was ripped down. These gating material was ripped down from in front of the police station and put on the sides of the street. There were cops at one point along this side, Main Street, but I don't see him anymore. So this is the park on the west side of City Hall. I don't see any cops necessarily in there. People in the streets are really, really important, like really key. What motivates you to come into the streets? You know, why, if you're not in the streets, why not? Like, you know, we're in an era of fascism, and Trump literally said, whoa, they're grabbing somebody. What the fuck is going on?
Police officer Jim Pierce of the Los Angeles Police Department, I hereby declare this an unlawful assembly in the name of the people of the state of California committed all these
some folks are like right up to the big thing. So like
This standoff. It's like,
but no, I'm saying they moved up, the protesters moved up to the junction. Like they moved, you know, I mean, they moved past this, whatever, wall thing.
yeah.
Anyway, significant. Stay together!
So did you hear the helicopter what it said?
Something about dispersal, I mean, it's the same old shit. I couldn't, you know. So right now they're giving us an egress.
There are no cops over here. It's all the riot police are over there.
That way they can claim they didn't kettle us in.
Alright. I'm gonna linger in the park.
Yeah, don't be hesitant.
Did you want to give me those keys?
Yeah.
If you can, give me a cookie too. I want a cookie.
Well, they passed them out in the bag. I think they're all gone by now.
That's fine.
But don't worry about me. You sure you can hold on to 2 loose keys, is what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll put them in my,
Guys, make sure you stay together, stay tight, don't go nowhere.
You sure you won't lose them, right?
positive.
Yeah. I'd rather get arrested with them than lose them.
Positive, I won't lose them.
Okay,
You
that's
guys are
different.
here to fight for black people's lives, now's your chance. You stay together, you stay tight, because we do this every night.
No, I seriously think if you could get this through
You hold
this,
your ground.
just what she's actually saying, hold your ground. I mean, eventually they pull in and they'll, you know, maybe they'll shoot a couple of gas rounds or something like that. They'll physically push this crowd out. I bet you they're more likely to try and push this crowd out than to actually arrest everybody. No, I know, but I think right now they actually face more necessity, and it's better for them.
We do this every night.
So I'm saying for right now, I'm agreeing with her tactical assessment right now.
Alright. I'm gonna go record the cops.
We have to do this a lot in person.
The whole first floor of them came in. They're
Oh, yeah, fun.
Or whoever you know out here, even if you don't know that person. Get them a hug right now. Get them a hug. This could be your last hug, or this could be your hug for a while. You feel locked up. So you really need to understand. Because I made videos saying that I'm like, y'all, I feel my.
So ABC News is here. While we might hate the networks or the mainstream media, when they do show up, it is important. Even if we understand what they ultimately represent. It also puts a certain kind of necessity on the police to behave a certain way. It's a factor that they have to think about and how they act and deal with people. Doesn't mean they're not going to shoot press, doesn't mean they're not going to brutalize press. But it is something that they think about. So,
Shield that we made on Sunday, or if you have a shield, everybody got to the front.
they are coming. The police are just advancing. You know, if you are a risk level of somebody who can get arrested and do this, that's a need that can be filled. If you're someone who can't, but still feels that they need to be in the street, there's still a place for you too. There's been a couple of protests where I've seen people, people in wheelchairs come out, but you shouldn't feel like you can't come out regardless of where you're at in life. It looks like the fences are being moved so cars can get out. They asked people if they had helmets, if they had chest protectors, if they had umbrellas. The organizers tonight, trying to prepare people for the type of brutality that's unleashed. Right now you're seeing the repression of the bourgeois dictatorship. This is a dictatorship that we live under. The dictatorship of the current ruling class is the bourgeois ruling class, where they have to give some space for these protests, but they ultimately have to smash them down with overt violence because the system can't, it literally can't stop killing black people. Like, that's how it functions. And the role of the police is to serve that system that rules over the people. And Trump, he represents a different type of dictatorship. He represents a fascist dictatorship, where these privileges, these rights to protest would be openly and legal. They would make it legal to criminalize them. So this avenue, this release, wouldn't even be available under fascism, even in this form, even though the bourgeois dictatorship can't have you in the streets disrupting shit day after day, night after night either. That's another reason more people are needed. When you have hundreds of thousands of people instead of 300, it's much harder for them to contain something like that. So you actually have to think strategically, like non-violent mass protests day after day until your demand is met. If you don't do that, you might get small concessions, but not the larger ones that are needed, like the removal of fascism. If fascism is not removed and allowed to consolidate, that dictatorship, that open brutality, will harshly come after political opponents. You will not have the right to protest. It will be criminalized. So bourgeois democracy or bourgeois dictatorship like Joe Biden is not the fucking same as Trump. It's not the same as fascism. It's like Weimar Republic versus Hitler. They weren't the fucking same, right? There's differences within the ruling class on how to actually rule over the people. So the police advanced in front of the cop shop. It's an important symbol of the institution. Ruling over the people. Or it's like the armed force with brutality enforcing the relations of this system, the capitalist imperialist system.
Hi, you're a snitch. You're going to jail.
That was really weird. They're still cooking up burritos. Looks like potato burritos. There's lots of cops on the other side of this line. Oh!
I'm a little bit behind.
Oh!
I just realized if this is not like surreal.
Yeah,
Cooking fajitas?
yeah.
Sharing right.
Yeah.
Vegan potatoes? Vegan fajitas being cooked up? Sharing right. You know what I mean? Or rebellion.
People need to eat.
No, I just don't like it's just like it's not even distracted. Like I was trying to find this thing.
Oh, yeah, she's behind.
But see, I mean, I said, are you like here tonight?
Yeah.
So if you know that you want to go home to your mama, your daddy, your boyfriend, your
So I'm just coming and checking this other perimeter. Because there is a lot of riot KK cops on the other side, and I just wanted to see if they're, you know, where they're at. So Main Street is still, looks like it's, you know, you can only see so far, so they could be around a corner or whatever, but they're not in eyesight at this point in time. So they removed is Los Angeles Police Department, downtown, by City Hall. And the police, they have to protect the functioning of this system. They have to protect the in-ground foundation of white supremacy and patriarchy. We say no more names, and it should really matter. We should take the time to dig into that question, how to make it a reality. Reforming white supremacy leaves you with white supremacy and the degradation of black, brown, and indigenous people. It's just where you're at. And if we're fighting for a world where black lives are seen as full human beings and a valued member of society because of just their very existence, the same with brown and indigenous people, the diversity of all among us that's needed and wanted in a future society, we actually have to be serious and prepare the ground and prepare the people for a revolution, an overthrow of the capitalist imperialist system, this ruling class's dictatorship, whether it be bourgeois or fascism that's currently in the White House. There's so many people out here that really fucking care and don't have leadership, or they're taking leadership without asking those harder questions and investigating for themselves, using the scientific method and approach. Like, what is the scientific method and approach, right? It's evidence-based. You're asking, is it true? If you walked it through like a formula, is it true? Reform, like police cameras, would end the brutality by the police, that reform. And as we've seen, the answer is no. Then you have to dig deeper, like what's the root of the police? What's their role? What's the political line they represent? That's work, and even I don't understand it all at this point either. Like there's a lot to fucking learn, but being able to ask those questions and follow where they lead you in a critical way is important. Like, keep asking, is it true? Is this going to liberate black people? Is this true? Is it going to liberate brown and indigenous people? Is this true? Is it going to liberate women and LGBTQ? Is it true that all those different sections of people have one thing in common, and that's this system? Not just the different people, but the planet, the animals, the airways, everything, right? everybody to leave in one direction. If you think about it, there's no traffic downtown late at night. There's no reason for us not to be assembled out here with these demands. You know, stop killing black people. It's a correct thing to be out in the street saying. And the fact that they can't allow us to do that, that is the dictatorship of the bourgeoisie, of the ruling class. And you could say the Democrats are a part of that ruling class. You could say the Green Party is part of that ruling class. You know, your Congress, the House, the Senate, elected officials, your mayor, all of those functionaries that represent the system and have to keep order under the system's framework or guidelines. And those guidelines are white supremacy and patriarchy. I really encourage people to go to revcom.us. There is an actual strategy for revolution, and one of the main things right now is the ideological struggle that's needed to even have people raise their sights towards revolution and ideologically struggle for it with other people. People's sights are so low right now that it's not like in the era of the 60s where revolution and the fight for that was on everyone's lips. Police line and protesters. Oh, nice. We got some visual observers.
Unqualified immunity. Unqualified immunity. Unqualified immunity.
There's fucking chaos, a little bit of chaos. Oh, we got cops on the backside of us. So I just heard a couple of non-lethal rounds, or maybe they're the pop gun kind. They're like colored smoke. So maybe they're called flashbangs? rubber bullet that just... There's another... They're like coming over here. These fucking rubber bullets. So 2 rubber bullets just landed right by me. I was lightly grazed with one, which is nothing compared to the lasting scars that these things leave. There's still a comrade that was out the first night of the George Floyd protest, and his arms are severely fucked up. So they are fighting for ground, basically. You know, I don't know if they're going to be out here tomorrow. They're saying every night, you know, bring your helmet, bring your shields, bring your umbrellas, bring your, you know, leaf blowers, bring your, you know, determination, bring your friends, bring, you know, what is it going to take to really disrupt this system in a way where our demand will be met. Especially when, you know, we have a fucking fascist open white supremacist in the White House. I want to ask again, if you've been out during this uprising over the murder of George Floyd, you know, about 3 people a day are being murdered by police. This systematic problem hasn't gone away, so neither should your determination in the streets. You know, these pro-Trump rallies are gaining momentum, and they are willing to use violence, as we've seen in places like Charlottesville and like Portland. And because they're fighting for the same system of white supremacy as the police, they, you know, the cops and the Klan go hand in hand, and police don't have to enforce the law. They can pick and choose when they want to, as they see fit. These rubber bullets are no fucking joke. There's one. I don't know where the other one went. It's like a fucking rubber tire hitting you. Like I said, comrades that have been hit are still, like, they'll be scarred for the rest of their life. it is correct to be in the streets demanding the end of murder by police. It is correct. Acceptance and normalization is so commonplace that when people are in the streets demanding that the murder end, it seems strange and odd and out of place because, right, it's normal for the police to murder and for everybody just to live their lives. That numbing down and normalization of killing the other because you got to do you and you got to make it and you're busy and your kids and there's a million things that the system has us caught up with to survive. But it doesn't take much to change your life a little bit. Start asking the bigger questions. And then give what time you can. Not everybody can be 24/7, and you shouldn't feel guilty that you're not. But you should be consistently doing something. You should make the time to come out. Not just once, but consistently. If you are, I know there's a few people that I know that literally can't come out either because they live super far, they don't have a car, their health in one way or another doesn't allow them to be. And there's a couple of those people who organize like crazy on social media. They put in work. And then there's a lot of people who don't do squat. I see your Facebook post. I see what you're organizing for and your quarantine habits. In an era of fascism, they are subpar to what's needed. That don't mean you can't enjoy your pets and your family and your plants and movies. Like that's part of being a human being. But also being part of an international community of human beings, you gotta throw in and throw down on the direction of society. And really, Black Lives Matter has to be a real statement, not just like a fucking bumper sticker, right? And for Black Lives to matter here and around the world, you have to actually overthrow the system of capitalism and imperialism, a system that within its functioning can never fully integrate, quote unquote, the other. We have a few legal observers out here. Yeah. I'm gonna use this car as a shield. These non or less lethal rounds are not fucking okay. It is correct for people to be out here. It is correct for people to refuse to accept murder by police. That is correct. and it should be supported, and it should be built for. But we can't let fascism off the hook while we're doing that. Because if fascism is allowed to consolidate, not only will Black lives not matter objectively and openly, being able to protest like this and organize progressive or revolutionary movements. Historically, with fascism, they're stomped out and rounded up and either executed or imprisoned. And this regime has already labeled Black Lives Matter as a terrorist group, and when they label a group like that, you are the other, so whatever they do to you is justified. You've lost your human status. We have to, just because something is legal doesn't mean it's justice. People being out is legitimate, and more people should be out. We're in downtown Los Angeles, in front of the KK Cup shop. The police have been firing rubber bullets. They're trying to get people to disperse. The brutality we saw around Jacob Blake was, again, another horrendous example of the police doing their job. Like, that's what their job is. The role of the police is not to serve and protect the people. It is to serve and protect the system that rules over the people. This is why black bodies get a knee to the neck, and property and buildings is more important than human lives. You can replace a building. When someone dies, they're fucking irreplaceable. We do this to bodies all over the world. We bomb them. We torture them. We murder them. The military rapes them. The system and the role of the American military is to maintain, what it sees as world order under its dictatorship. Exploiting and holding down the people of the world under the boot of imperialism.
And when do we want
I can't replace a building personally, and I can't replace a human being personally, but I know for sure buildings can fucking be replaced. It's raw material. It's some fucking concrete. A human life is so special. And when it's ripped away from its loved ones and its community and this entire world, the entire world has lost someone. And that's fucking not okay. If you're more concerned about buildings than you are about lives, your priorities are fucking twisted. You can't conserve the planet without an actual revolution. You have to overthrow the system of capitalism and imperialism. Because capitalism, by nature, can't function without destroying the planet. Capitalism don't give two fucks. Because it's all about profit motive and mode of production. You have to, this capitalist has to do better than that capitalist. And you have to, suck up the resources that are there. Like, I think it was this week we passed the point of what we should have used for the year. Like, everything that we're using past, I think, August 22nd is items that are renewable within the year. That's the capitalist system. If you actually give a fuck about the environment and the animals and the waterways, you have to overthrow a system that degrades those things. There's 5 major contradictions that the system can't function without. White supremacy, patriarchy, the dehumanization of the immigrants, the border wall, wars for empire, destruction of the environment. These 5 key things aren't the only contradictions, but they're key contradictions that if you want to actually resolve them, the thing they have in common is the capitalist imperialist system. And that system in itself has to be overthrown and replaced with something in the interest of all of humanity. So cops are running. And I can't fucking run that fast. they're cared about a particular nation, not all people. You have to actually be responsible for the welfare, health, housing, water, food for every single person on the planet. Internationalism. All these communities that don't have no fucking running water, that's not acceptable. You know, all these communities that have had to flee because of climate change, that live in refugee camps and conditions of squalor. Like, that's not acceptable. You know, every single homeless person in America and around the world is literally created by the system of capitalism, imperialism. Private property, the ownership of, like, accumulation. You know, when we restructure society, or we're seeing the needs of every single human being is incorporated into that, that's what's actually needed. None of this half-ass shit, my people, your people, know every single person on the planet. If it's not every single person on the planet, I don't want to fuck with it. It doesn't matter where homeless people live. The fact they exist is a product of the capitalist system. It's an inhumane atrocity created by the system. This reserve army of labor to fight for the jobs that are available and create that constant competition of who's going to make it and who's not. I'm still alive here.
Yeah. All they're doing is chasing people out, basically. They're not going to kill. At this point, I don't think they're going to kill people. Yeah, you can tell, it's just like,
Yeah.
and you can see it, little sections are taken off. It's just, I mean, I'm just trying to,
Yeah.
not for sure, but it looks like it's fine. But that was significant.
I'm still watching, but I'm staying a little back.
Yeah. Yeah, that's actually the main thing I'm trying to do.
I think being here is support. The system is global, it turns out. That's why it's a system of capitalism. Patriarchy exists all over the planet, it turns out. The degradation and dehumanization of women is in every corner of the earth where capitalism exists. Capitalism can't function without women's labor. The sweatshops, forces to be breeders for the next generation of workers. Communism is about black lives here and around the world, and again, you can't liberate black human beings in America or anywhere in the world without addressing capitalism. Often people see a either or. Either you're building for communism or you're building for Black Lives Matter. It's not an either or. They actually run in conjunction with each other. It's not either Black Lives Matter or the Trump-Pence regime must be driven from power. They run in conjunction with each other. They support each other. Because if fascism is allowed to consolidate and have another presidential term, Black lives, Trump has already been very clear that he loves cops, and cops love Trump, and cops kill black people. And he began his presidential campaign on that racist shit.
Hey, they get stuck right here.
Yeah, so they are coming around this other perimeter. Sorry, I had to take a phone call. So the police are on Los Angeles. We'll go down and get a closer look. You know, the organizers, there was a chant about doing this every night. I really think that's positive and leading people in the right direction, because it should be every night. You know, whether you can make it or not, you know it's happening, and you can tell others and struggle with them why it's important to be in the streets over these issues. You know, it's not just one day arbitrary Black Lives Matter. You have to make it real, and that's work. And I would struggle and argue that only an actual revolution to overthrow the system of capitalism and imperialism could make that a reality. So Jacob Blake was shot brutally 7 times in the back. You know, this happens to about 3 people a day. And we don't even get to know all their names. It's so ingrained and systematic. You have over 1,000 names every year. So I'm going to go back up on the...
Right now, if you are here,
We want to get a better view. They're telling people with warrants to leave. They're telling people who at certain risk levels or need to leave for whatever reason to go one way, and everybody else can go another way. I think that's really smart, because it is getting a little bit more intense. This is on Los Angeles Street. And down, oh, there's the cops. They're running towards the line. They're running. The cops are running, and the cops are running. And there's another line of cops right there. We'll go down and observe. So it looks like there's a lot of people gathering at these steps over here. And the group definitely lost a lot of people. And that's part of it. That's why it's so important for other people, again, hundreds of thousands of people, to actually refuse to accept the conditions how they are, and to come out and be part of what's going on. Right? I'm at a certain level, that's why I stay where I'm at.
We're good. Don't go by yourself. Don't go by yourself.
Alright.
Tyson. You can safely walk out of here this way. You can safely walk out. It is time to disperse. We can fight another day. We can fight another day. Please go home. Off this way or off this way.
Okay.
We are done for the night. I am saying we are done for the night. It is time.
We are done for the night. It is time, so we can fight another day. Tactical decisions. These are important. You don't want overwhelming defeats and have all your people who are willing to get on the street and struggle arrested and dealing with court cases. I think that's really smart. Good for morale, good for organization, good for all that. Oh, this way? Okay. So they're coming the way I was gonna be. That's right! Yes! That's right. Get used to it. So, I'm not sure where my buddy is at, but that's okay.
Alright, people. you have this option now before they close it, or you can continue to be pushed into time to time.
Let me see. There's my buddy.
Once again,
Yeah, like they're totally taking the time during when people get pushed out. They're doing right. At the end, they get arrested like the last year.
Yeah.
I mean, look how small it's got.
What do you want to do?
if you would like to get arrested, if anyone has a warrant, get the fuck out. If you are not a citizen, get the fuck out.
Yeah.
Alright? If you have a pet.
I'm going this way.
They shot some dude.
What happened?
Shot some dude.
Huh?
Shot some dude.
Like a gunshot?
This guy right here. See him driving aside?
Oh. Oh, they're up there. I'm out. They're up on the top wall, aiming their non-lethal fucking shit. And for the strategy at this point of, I liked what he was saying, come out tomorrow, bring more people. I like that. So I don't know how this event is getting spread online. Excuse me, how do people find out about tomorrow?
It's well, usually Facebook, or sorry, not Facebook, Instagram.
What
But they're
group?
out here every night. Together LA.
Together LA?
But every night, and then starting September 5th, 60 days of protests
Oh, with Refuse Fascism?
like this, like 60 days.
Fuck
'Cause we need millions. We
yeah!
need to do it like they do in Germany. We need to do it like they do in Brazil.
That's what I'm
This
screaming!
is weak, but we'll get there, and we outnumber
Can I
them.
record you?
Yeah.
Tell them! Tell
We
them!
outnumber these cops hundreds of thousands to
Tell
one.
them about tomorrow and September 5th.
Tomorrow, they're out here every night. September 5th, we are starting 60 days of protesting. Look out for the information. Talk to people. We need to start activating. We need bodies. We are weak here in America because we can never unite. Other countries have it down. So let's do this. We're out here. We're practicing. It's a mess, but we're going to get there.
So tomorrow, what time?
9
downtown LA.
Every night.
At City Hall?
Southside City Hall.
Southside City Hall.
Every
So
night.
this is practice rounds, getting ready for September. That's what I'm fucking
Yeah.
talking about. What's your name?
Jasmine.
Jasmine, fuck yeah.
Nice to meet you.
Nice.
This is get it together.
Okay, so you hear that every night, 9 p.m., City Hall. People are getting ready for September 5th for 60 days of protest. That is what I am talking about. All right. See them up there? They're all lined up ready to shoot. I don't want to be in the line of
Oh,
fire.
yeah. Wait, look,
Is this because people are dispersing?
hey, not fully dispersing, you know. You get broken off sections at a time.
All right, peace out. Go to refusefascism.org or Refuse Fascism Los Angeles. You can find out more about September 5th.